Hello Starshine! My name is Liz and this is my channel, Simsational Stories. If you have not seen my videos before and you enjoy this one, please like and subscribe. And maybe check out my Facebook page where this whole thing began as well. All relevant links are in the description below. And of course, if you're a Sims player and you'd like to download any of the characters featured in my stories, just search the hashtag Simsational Stories on the Sims 4 gallery. All original content is created by This Is Not Eric. Alrighty then. So, welcome. And what is up, Buttercup? Are you having a good day or a bad day? Whichever your answer, please allow me to distract you from your life and tell you a story, a Simsational story. Before I begin though, I'd like to issue this blanket content and trigger warning. The following story is just Sims, hey. I'm not going to apologise for treating them terribly, if that's what I've done, but I do want to assure you now that although I mean absolutely no harm, I completely understand if you feel unable to consume my content. Many loves, and we will catch each other on the internet elsewhere. Okay, so now we've gotten that over with, let's go. Today's story is from Kelly-Anne Kalthis & Co., and we're at chapter 5. If you have not seen previous chapters and would like to catch up, there are playlists available on my channel so you can hear the entire story in chronological order. The rest of us are going to move on from where we left off last time though. So without further ado. Nicolas tried to make Ali understand. It wasn't that he wanted to be with Kelly-Anne. It was just, look at those innocent babies. They relied on him, and even though they weren't all his, he loved them like they could be his own. Luckily for Nick, Ali was a very understanding and gullible girl. She found Nick's reluctance to break up his family endearing and reassured him. They would be together eventually, and she knew that. She could wait. And Ali wasn't the only gullible girl in Nick's life. Ever since Keith had been born, things had gotten better and better with Kelly-Anne. There was just something about her big, beautiful violet eyes that drew him to her. The chemistry between Kelly-Anne and Nick was certainly undeniable. She was a real woman and had always excited him in ways that Ali never would. Kelly-Anne was spontaneous, smart, and above all else, sexy as all get out. But Ali had her charms too. She was just starting her life as a young adult, and her youthful naivety made her worship Nick, which of course made him feel like a god. They would sneak away together whenever he could manage it, and it made him feel so free. Except Nick wasn't free, not by a long shot, because once again here was Kelly-Anne sitting him down to tell him the almost predictable news that she was pregnant yet again, and this time it was definitely his. There had been no one else. No one else for her, anyway. Nick knew he had to tell Ali himself, before Kelly-Anne did, but it wasn't easy. Ali was devastated by the news. She'd had no idea that Nick was still with that woman. It was unforgivable. How could he do this to her? In his desperation to salvage the situation somehow, Nicolas decided that proposing to Kelly-Anne was the best course of action. He'd already ruined things with Ali, and he and Kelly-Anne had a family together. It was the right thing to do. But then Ali had another bombshell to drop on him. She too was pregnant to him, and furious to boot. She was only 17 and hadn't even thought to use protection. Why hadn't he taken care of her? Despite being so young, Ali Clemens had her head screwed on properly. She was going to be a good mum. She got a place of her own and began preparing for her new life as a single mother. Ali also let Kelly-Anne know what was going on, since Nicolas hadn't seen fit to tell his fiancée that he'd kept cheating on her and had gotten the babysitter pregnant. Kelly-Anne was devastated by the news. Ali couldn't believe it. Nicolas had followed Kelly-Anne over and was begging her to forgive him. And Kelly-Anne was listening. The more she heard Nick declare his love and commitment to Kelly-Anne, the more Allie was glad she had woken up to his bullshit. But Kelly-Anne was pregnant, and she already had 3 other children. Nicolas said he loved her. She was loath to give up on her heart. She knew deep down that Nick probably wasn't the man for her, but she was afraid to be alone again, so she went into denial and declared that she was going to marry him before the baby came. Kelly-Anne had really begun to eat her feelings during this 4th pregnancy. She'd always been so concerned about her weight before now, but who cared what she looked like now? She already had 3 kids and was about to have another. Her body was already ruined. Eating made her feel better. And then came the day of the wedding. Kelly-Anne was 35 weeks and her back ached like no tomorrow. But Kelsey looked utterly adorable and everything was ready. She was finally going to get her happy ending. But then Nick sprung a huge surprise on her, and everybody else, when he suddenly got cold feet halfway through the ceremony. He couldn't do this. He didn't love Kelly-Anne, and he didn't really want to marry her. Kelly-Anne couldn't believe it. He was leaving her at the altar? How could he do this to her? She was pregnant with his child, for God's sake. Didn't that mean anything to him? He had humiliated her completely and utterly, and she was heartbroken. What was she going to do now? And that brings us to the end of Chapter 5 of Kelly-Anne Kalthis and Co. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe so you can tune in soon to hear the next chapter. Or like I said, look us up on Facebook. Bye!